Hello everyone, my name is Katie Carson and I am the Duchess of Suds here at Royalty Soaps. Now I've tested kids kits in the past. Link to those videos in the upper right hand corner. But a lot of people have requested that I test a kit from a professional supplier. Someone who sells raw materials and equipment to both small businesses and just hobbyists. As an example, businesses that fit into that category would be Wholesale Supplies Plus, Brambleberry, Nature's Garden Candles, etc, etc. I picked a kit that I felt wouldn't require you as the consumer to have a lot of specialized equipment on hand. And the more inclusive the kit, the more I considered it. I landed on Brambleberry's Lingonberry Spice Soy Candle Kit, and that was part of the Hygge collection that they released this year. The packaging was trendy, it uses soy wax, which a lot of people are digging right now, and free shipping. It took about 4 business days to get to my house, and upon arrival, everything was in perfecto condition. So without further ado, let's make some candles. So let's talk about the packaging. Right off the bat, beautiful. Brambleberry to me has a very clean, slightly urban, natural packaging to their products, but they're not afraid to add in a little bit of color. They're not afraid to add in a little pizzazz. Their logo is a good example of that, having a little bit of a touch of whimsy. I love all the fonts. So when you open up the box, okay, so the first thing I've got here are some tags. They say to and from, and then it has hand-poured lingonberry spice 100% soy wax. So I guess those are the tags you probably wrap around the side. Okay. Nicely put together in this plastic bag so that all your paperwork is in one convenient location. On the first card, it tells you what's included in the kit, and then you also have how to contact them in case you need to. This is the recipe sheet that I'm going to be following. Beautiful photos. And then these are the labels, it looks like. Yeah, the labels that I'm going to be peeling off to put on the outside of the jars. Very professionally printed. All of the text is very clear. All right, so that does us for paperwork. And then they have these crinkle bits in here. That's always nice. All of the glasses have been wrapped in bubble wrap. I like to see that. Yeah, Brambleberry's eye for detail when it comes to their kits. It really makes you feel well taken care of. Like, they very much care about their kits and they care about their products. Packaging to me is a very big deal. I think it just shows the heart of the company. They've used here a lot of recycled materials as well. The glasses themselves are super nice. They have the plastic lining. They just look really professional. They're not cheap. Last one, got 4 there. I think this is the fragrance oil. The lingonberry spice, all of their fragrance oils have what is, I think, electrical tape to seal it in up top so no leaks. Let me smell this. Beautiful fragrance. Really cheery, definitely a berry, and I smell a little bit of spice, but I think the berry is the prominent. Then we have what I'm assuming is the wax. Yep, Eco Soya Advanced Soy Wax. This is exactly a pound. And then we have our little wood wicks and their holders at the bottom. Okay, there's the box undone. So let's start the prep. I have my recipe sheet here. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is prepare the wicks. So I'm gonna take all the lids off of these jars because we're gonna have to pour wax in them anyway. Then I'm supposed to take the wicks out and measure them by holding them in the jar. It says you want the wick to stick out but not touch the lid. So you take a pin, stick this in there. Think about right here. Only a teeny tiny bit needs to be cut. Then you're gonna cut that wick with scissors. Oh, it cuts really easy. Then you're gonna take the little holder here, these little metal holders. Gonna pop that right in there. Okay, so it's a little more difficult than just popping it right in there. Maybe slide it in? Okay, I just needed to quit being a wimp and push a little harder. All right, so that's gonna be ready to go. Oh, look, it even holds it up right in the middle, so no need for a sticker at the bottom. All right, I'm gonna do the same to all 3 of these. All right, I cut each one of the wicks down quite a bit. So now it's time to melt and scent the wax. It says to pour all the wax into a medium heat-safe container. So you don't have to have a digital scale, which is really helpful, but you do need to have a medium heat safe container. Now me personally, once I've put a candle wax in a container, I don't use that again for food. So you may want to consider popping to the dollar store and getting one from there that you can use for your craft projects. I have a heat safe container on hand, so I'm gonna go ahead and pour all the pellets in there. And then it says to melt on 30-second bursts and stir in between each one. So I'll tell you guys how long it takes for me to melt the whole thing. Melting 1 pound of that advanced soy wax took me about 4.5 minutes. It's a really smooth, creamy wax though, and it doesn't have any sort of smell. Now they want you to add the entire 1.75 ounces into 1 pound of wax. So I'm gonna bet that this ends up being pretty strong. And then they said to mix it up from 1 to 2 minutes. We're gonna do 2 minutes just to make sure that that fragrance oil is fully incorporated. So let me just say that while I'm mixing this, I have gone ahead and peeped at the next step, which is to pour the wax into the jars carefully. Now, I've made plenty of candles. Plenty. And they're not easy. They can be a little tricky, and the trickiest part is actually after the pour, and that's getting the wax to adhere to the jar, not have any sinkholes, and not have any frosting. And then of course, how is the product actually gonna perform? Is it actually gonna smell good when you open the lid? And is it going to fragrance your whole room that you place it in? This whole part of mixing up wax and fragrance oil, I personally think that's the easy part. But a tip I found along the way is monitoring and controlling how fast the wax cools down. So I like to put all my candles in a little box. I buy mine from Uline in like a set of 25, and they already come in a box with individual candle sections. So I leave them in there and pour them in there so that they can cool at a slower rate, and that drastically reduces the amount of sinkholes and frosting and helps with the jar adhesion as well. So my 2 minutes is up, and I've placed the jars in a little box, and I'm gonna take some paper towels because that's what I have on hand, and I'm gonna add just a little bit of wrapping around the jars. It's not much, but you'd be surprised. Every little bit counts when it comes to controlling how fast that cools down. So now that everything looks relatively centered and my wax is all melted, I'm going to gently and very carefully pour into the jars here, making sure I don't overfill. The wick still needs to have some room to actually light on fire. And it appears that there is just enough wax to fill all 4 of these up. And then I'm going to move these back to the middle as they have migrated a little bit. And then it says to let the candles cool completely and enjoy. So I'm gonna move these off to the side, and then I'll bring you guys back when it's time to label them up and put the tags on. Alright, so I let the candles sit for about 4 or 5 days before I've come back to touch them. And you can see there's a little bit of pulling away right here from the wick. I think that could easily be fixed by putting like a hot hair dryer on the top. I'm pretty sure that's just a cosmetic imperfection on the top and not something that's like a real sinkhole all the way down. This one right here turned out perfect though. There's nothing wrong with that one. The cold throw, which in candle terms means how strong the smell is when the candle isn't burning, is actually quite strong. So I'm gonna put these lids back on and we're going to label them. Now the kit only comes with 4 candles, but they gave you 10 labels. I really don't know what they wanted you to use all those labels for. Maybe it's just cheaper for them to print a sheet. Oh, I thought they were peelable. They're not. You gotta cut these out. Are these peelable? Ooh, no, these circles aren't peelable. I think for sure when a kit is this expensive, your labels should be peelable. I shouldn't have to cut these out. Okay, so I cut one out. I'm gonna peel it off here. Stick it on the jar as straight as I can. And now that I'm looking at this, I don't think these are stickers. I think this is just cardstock that it's been printed on. Yeah, really not a fan of these not being punched already. My circle, no matter how hard I try, is not gonna look very professional. It's gonna have edges on it. But actually, let me tell you what, that's okay, because you can see in the picture here, there's this little bit of twine that's going around the candle jar to hold this label in place. but there's no twine included. So I think it's a little tiny bit misleading that they would have that on there, and they would provide you with these, but not just throw like some string in the box. That would have been a really, really cheap thing to do, but it really would have helped us out, because what if you don't have like twine just sitting around in your house? I mean, I happen to, because I do this professionally, but that's a strike. Okay, let me go ahead and label the rest of these. I'll go find some twine somewhere and cut out the rest of those pieces of cardstock, and then for the important part, we're gonna do a burn test. Okay, also, as I'm going along to do this, I find that the back of the stickers is pre-slit, but it's not like in the right place. So like if I started bending on the lines they provided, it would be me bending it like right here. Okay, so I cut out the to and from tags that I'm going to be using, and now I've cut out these, and I'm trying to figure out how to make this hole big enough to fit my string through, because there's no hole there. I have to punch that out somehow. So I'm taking a pin, sticking it in the middle, and kind of, oopsie, well, I just tore it. Thanks. Okay, let's try that again. I cut out extras. Good thing they gave me extras. It's like it needs a hole punch. I put the first label in one way, so I'm gonna flip it around, and I'm gonna put the second label in the other way, just like so. So the two white parts are together. Okay, now I'm gonna tie it on here. We're gonna give it a nice little knot. Okay, and there we have it. We got the little string right here. You got the lingonberry tag. You got the to from tag. Awesome. So now for the important part, the scent throw and performance testing.
I decided to test the candles with multiple people in multiple places to get the best read on how they perform. The first one I gave to Kenny because he has his own cottage. The second one I gave to Gravy to test in his large living room. The third one I gave to myself to test in my enclosed bathroom. And the fourth one I just went ahead and gave to my mom with no strings attached because she likes candles. So Kenny said, I burned it in my room for 30 minutes and went downstairs, and when I came back up, my whole room smelled amazing. I've actually burned it just because I like it and not for testing reasons, but it's really strong. Gravy said, Gravy wrote me a whole diggity dang letter. My dear madam, thank you for gifting me a candle. There is nothing in the world I would rather have. I burned it in my large living room and was surprised to find that the wood wick did not snuff itself out, and the wax pool went to the very edge of the jar. The scent was quite strong and wafted all the way into the kitchen. I approve. Bravo. Sincerely, Sir Gravy Boat the First. My personal findings were similar to Gravy's and Kenny's. Though it's only a 4-ounce candle, it actually fragranced my entire bathroom and even went into the bedroom too. I do snuff out my candles after 4 hours, and I'm gonna bet these candles burn for about 30 plus hours.
So let's talk some pros and cons. Here's some things I really loved about the kit. Beautiful packaging, trendy design, super easy to create. It's got wonderful cold throw and hot throw, and it contains eco-friendly soy wax and a wood wick that really does crackle a lot. Here's some things I didn't like so much about the kit. I feel like it's a little bit pricey. It was $44.99, so if you split that between the 4 candles you get to create, it's roughly $11.25 per candle. The sticky labels weren't pre-cut, and the gift tags weren't pre-punched. And even though twine is pictured around the candle in all of their promos, it didn't actually come in the kit, so you couldn't tie on any of your labels. Final thoughts and conclusion. If you don't mind shelling out a little bit of extra money, you've got twine on hand, and are really good at cutting out labels, you really can't go wrong with this kit. For me, I feel like the major drawback would probably be the cost. $11.25 for a 4-ounce candle. It's just a little pricier than I feel most people want to pay, and I don't really blame them. However, if this makes you feel any better, I got on my computer and I did a quick search on Etsy. I was kind of trying to find the average retail value for a soy candle of that size, and it came up as being $4 to $8 per without shipping, and then all of the shops, of course, were charging shipping, and that was another like $3 to $4. So all the candles ended up coming out between $8 and $13 $14. So in reality, that's just the price of soy candles, whether or not you make it or buy it from a handcrafter. But the fragrance was so strong, and honestly, this would be a really easy kit to do with kids, to do in your apartment, to make for stocking stuffers or Christmas gifts, or even to make as a hostess present. I want to know what you guys think the major pros and cons are, and whether or not you would consider buying a kit like this, so let me know down in the comments below. The question of the day is, do you like this video? Do you prefer it when I test kids craft kits or these more professional ones? You can vote on the question of the day by clicking the I in the upper right hand corner of the screen. If you did enjoy this video and would like to see more, feel free to subscribe and also click the notification bell so the soap fairy can come alert you every time I upload a new video. I hope you all have an absolutely royal day. Be sure to do something for yourself today, whether that is crafting your own candles or supporting a small business by purchasing one. Either way, do something that makes you happy, and I'll see you guys Saturday. Bye for now. Meow.